Hey folks, this is Matt once again coming at you with another random movie review of a Bill Murray film that's pretty much one of his more forgotten films. You know, Bill Murray, even though in real life he seems like a pain in the butt to work with, difficult to say the least, I can still say I'm a big fan of his work. Still a very funny guy. And most people talk about Ghostbusters, Stripes, even, Scrooged. What about Bob? Lost in Translation, Rushmore. But not many people talk about this film, Where the Buffalo Roam. Now, this was made in 1980, and it's based on Dr. Hunter S. Thompson. Now, if this looks familiar, is because later on you have the same character, pretty much, being played by Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro in Fear and Loathing Las Vegas. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who have heard of Fear and Loathing Las Vegas. But this did it first, back in 1980. And then Johnny Depp did another film called The Rum Diary. But Bill Murray hung out a lot with Hunter S. Thompson, journalist, author, and got his mannerisms down, much like Johnny Depp in Fear and Loathing Las Vegas. And the film was directed by a guy named Art Linson, who hasn't gone to direct much. I know he's produced quite a few films. I think he helped produce Scrooged, The Untouchables, Casualties of War, stuff like that. And the film, when it came out, didn't do well at all. Not many people liked the film. And even today, not many people talk about this movie. But this is a Bill Murray film I found pretty late in the game. I'm not sure how I found out about this. I guess I was just looking up one day, Bill Murray. I think because I had seen Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and look up, and I'm like, wow, that looks like Johnny Depp's character. And find out that it is, and really look into this film. And I enjoy this film. You know, I think it's a funny film. I think if you're a Bill Murray fan, you owe it yourself to see this. Whether you like it or not, that's your idea. That's your choice. But I still found this a pretty funny film. It's not one of his best. I would not put in the top five. Like it would be, Ghostbusters and Scrooged and Stripes and What About Bob, and I don't have a specific top five. Meatballs, but still, this film doesn't deserve to be forgotten like it should. I mean, it's a funny film. I know one thing about the film, it doesn't really have a coherent plot. It just seems like a series of events that happens. Um, First, it begins with Bill Murray's character, Hunter S. Thompson, who is trying to finish his story. He has his dog. He's up at his ranch in the mountains. He has like a dummy with a Richard Nixon mask, and like if he says Nixon, his dog will attack it. Just a very weird guy who's into alcohol and drugs. But first and foremost, this is a comedy. It's not a drama. This first and foremost is a comedy. Um, I think that's what I liked about it, is that it was first and foremost a comedy. Um, how would I say? He's a very weird individual. He has this, I guess you call it like fax machine type thing. It keeps beeping, and he pulls his gun out and shoots it, and tries to shoot it, shoots the machine. Um, then he has to get his story done because he's a journalist, and he talks about a few times in his life that he's had with his attorney, Lazlo, played by Peter Boyle, who I believe is kind of the same guy that Benicio del Toro will play in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And the first instance is in the late 60s, where his attorney first off, you have Bill Murray's character in a hospital with a young nurse, and he's like messed up the whole hospital room. And just Bill Murray's performance is a big reason why I enjoy this film. He really does. If you've seen Johnny Depp in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, that's what Bill Murray's playing in this film. And if you like that performance, it's basically Bill Murray doing his version, and it's just a really entertaining performance. Let's see, how else is it? As for specific dialogue, I leave it up to the viewer to check it out. Like one piece of dialogue, I hate to advocate weird chemicals, alcohol, violence, or insanity to anyone, but they've always worked well for me. So, I mean, he's in this hospital, and his attorney arrives, and he actually goes into another room, goes out the window in order to get in. And Bill Murray has to leave, but he takes the like big IV like stand with him, and they get into another car, and they back into another car. Like, oh shit! And like the big statue falls on the fucking thing on the car before they get out of there. And it leads to basically Peter Boyle's character having to defend these group of kids who had a little bit of marijuana, but ultimately they receive these really harsh sentences, and Peter Boyle starts a fight. And, you know, things go haywire there. Then you have another one where it's years later and Bill Murray's doing a spot on the Super Bowl. Really funny moment, for instance, is when he gets out of the limousine, he gets woken up, and he tasks the limousine driver, is like, "Who are you? Where you come from?" "No, you're in... No, that's not even... That's stupid. I haven't even landed yet. I haven't even gotten on a plane yet." It's like, "Don't believe me, you landed." It's like, "Oh, wait a minute. I mean, I've landed for real." And he's like, I'm doing poor justice. This is why I don't really review comedies that much, because it's hard to re-represent, you know, the scenes that made you laugh and pull it off to make people want to see the flick. But he gets in a hotel, and I love like the limousine driver gets back with his bags and goes slowly, and he has this look on his face. And Bill Murray looks like he's going to punch him, because like they both freeze at each other, like, and then pulls out the money. And Limo like smiles and then runs away. But like he's turned his then he turns his hotel room into basically they're going to be playing football, and he has like I guess people who work at the hotel playing with him. And I don't know, just the dialogue that he says, the way he plays Hunter S. Thompson's performance just really makes me smile. That's why it makes me entertained throughout the film. And the film's like 90-some minutes. I like that there was this other guy, forget what the actor's name is, but oh, I should mention they have some other recognizable people. You got Bruno Kirby from City Slickers, from Good Morning Vietnam as Bill Murray's boss, or publisher. You have R.G. Armstrong. This is the guy from Predator who gave Arnold the job in Predator at the beginning, and the very end of Predator you see him as well. He's the judge. A cop who's on the stand on trial is actually Craig T. Nelson himself. So you have a couple of recognizable people in there. But just to a point where, like, I don't know, forget the guy's name, but you can tell he's an older guy. You definitely tell he's from New York. And I don't know, just the way how at first he's trying to make a bet, and then later on he's like, "This is a fucking nut house. You know, last time I talked to you, I still didn't get a fucking bit of sleep." I'm pulling a bad job, but just his little reaction about how, you know, Bill Murray kept him up the whole night, and that just made me laugh. I just put it out there. And then Peter Boyle's character comes in wearing a Richard Nixon mask and tells him we gotta get out, and he's like, Bill Murray's like, "No, I can't. You know, I'm doing this story." But then ultimately does, and they actually give their Super Bowl tickets to someone for like a bottle of wine and a hat. And this is a little bit of film I didn't care for, because basically Peter Boyle takes Bill Murray to these, I guess you call them sort of freedom fighters, like trying to start a revolution, and they don't smuggle weapons. And basically they're at this place, and they go to this, where they don't go with this airplanes out loaded with weapons. But then a police helicopter comes, and Peter Boyle and them leave, and Bill Murray's there. That whole little bit wasn't horrible, but it just wasn't funny and really didn't do anything for the movie for me, and like I didn't really care for it. But then I did enjoy afterward. Now it's 1972, and he's Bill Murray's character is doing these college circuits. He actually lits a joint in front of everybody, and then you have students throwing joints at him. He's trying to pick them up and answering questions. And then it gets to a point where he's got to go on a plane for the presidential election campaign. And he's on one plane, but he gets thrown out, so he goes on a more really easy-going airplane, where the other airplane he gets to go to, even the stewardess, they're drinking beer, they're throwing things. Gets to a point where he's actually gets to the core the pilot seat, and he's singing "Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds." You just have to see the film for yourself, and it gets to a point where he's in the bathroom disguised as another press guy. And it's the candidate. They just call him the candidate, but it's obviously supposed to be Richard Nixon. Because they really have like anti-Nixon into this. Like I said at the beginning, his daughter, when he says Nixon, his daughter attached the Nixon dummy. And then, he goes, "Good boy." And Bill Murray goes into a speech about the doomed and the screwheads, and what you don't do about the doomed, and it's the screwheads that scare me, not the kids doing drugs and having fun. And the candidate, which again you can tell is Richard Nixon, goes like, "Fuck the doomed." That's his big line. And he tries to go on an airplane. Then you have Peter Boyle coming back again and saying, "Oh yeah, come with me." They get thrown off the plane before they have this. I just back in the fire extinguishers when they shoot them off. Maybe they still do. It's like whipped cream that comes out. And then they're shooting everybody with it, and they get thrown off the plane. And Peter Boyle's trying to get him to go to this sort of commune type of place in the desert, and Bill Murray says, "No, I don't want to." And then goes back to the cabin where he types up and basically says that, the one thing about it is that it never got weird enough for me. And that, maybe one day I'll see Peter Boyle's character again, Lazlo, maybe not. But that's sort of his big last line, is that, but it almost seems like he's going to keep going because it still hasn't gotten weird enough for me. Now, I mean, as for the film, I know I kind of stuttered through it, but it's hard doing comedies reviews. That's why I don't do tons of them, because it's like, how do you review a comedy? I know I got panned by a lot of people. Neil Young, by the way, Neil Young actually did the score, including the opening theme, "Home on the Range." Hence the title, "Where the Buffalo Roam." I don't know, the opening theme of "Where the Home on the Range" by Neil Young almost seems kind of creepy. I don't know why. But again, I really I'd still like I like the score by Neil Young, but again, I like the opening with the "Home on the Range," his version. But I don't know why, it just seemed like a creepy thing too as well. Creepy piece of music. I don't know why, but I still liked it. The film gets a 6.4 on IMDb for right now. To end it off here, because I know I'm trying to sort of blah 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 blah. Where the Buffalo Roam, if you're a fan of Bill Murray, you definitely should check it out. If you're a fan of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas or Hunter S. Thompson, you should check it out once. I think it's a funny film. If there's any drawbacks, I mean, granted, it does feel like the film is sort of like episodes after episode. It doesn't really, it's not like a cohesive one movie. It just seems like, okay, here's this little bit, then here's this little bit, then here's this little bit. As for a meaning, I don't really, if there's a meaning behind the film, I missed it. Other than, it still hasn't gotten weird enough for me. That's why it's going to keep going. But if there's any, deeper meanings, I'm sure Hunter S. Thompson's work shows, Then either bypassed me or I didn't get it. And again, that little bit with the freedom fighters, stuff like that, didn't really appeal to me. But still, I think this is worth a look. Only at least for Bill Murray's performance is great. I think Peter Boyle does a solid job. I think it's a very interesting film to look at, especially if you've seen Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and The Rum Diary. And it's like, wow, okay, Johnny Depp played it. Let's see how Bill Murray plays it back in 1980. And it's a film that, again, a lot of Bill Murray fans probably never heard of this film. But I think it's a fun comedy. It definitely has some funny parts. I'm definitely glad I have it in my collection. If anything else, then at least for Bill Murray's performance alone, it's very entertaining to watch. Even if the film, again, it's not as fun as Bill Murray's other films. Scrooge, Meatballs, What About Bob, Stripes, Ghostbusters. Definitely not as funny as those. I can say that. I didn't laugh out loud as many times as I would with those. But at the same time, it's not an awful movie at all. I think it's a good comedy. It's funny. It's worth your time. And if you never heard of this film, definitely check it out. You know, maybe you'll like it. Maybe you'll enjoy it. I mean, at least for these guys' performance alone, because Bill Murray and Peter Boyle definitely had a fun time. It's definitely not as out there as Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, because you had Terry Gilliam directing that one. But it's a fun Bill Murray comedy that not many people talk about. So I just want to at least give it a mention. Where the Buffalo Roam, the movie based on the twisted legend of Hunter S. Thompson. So either way, thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you later. Ciao.